So good afternoon, good evening, namaste everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Tomorrow is 11th of April is World Parkinson's Day, and we are here with a very interesting panel, um, which I'm sure you will learn a lot from, as well as they have had actually very different approaches and very empowering approaches to managing Parkinson's. So it's quite fascinating to have spoken to each one of them as well as to bring them together. If you're watching this on any of our social media pages or on Zoom, you can, kind of say hi or tell us the city you come from. But first, let me do a quick intro on Patients Engage itself. As some of you are aware, we are an online platform operational for over 5 years and focused on evidence-based and holistic management of chronic conditions from the perspective of patients and family caregivers. We strongly believe in the value of lived experiences and how being proactive and being engaged with your own health leads to better quality of life, as well as a feeling of being in control and being empowered. Um, Today, as I said, we are here to talk about Parkinson's. In the past, we have done a couple of other webinars with persons with Parkinson's. 2019, we did on living better with Parkinson's, and you can find the recordings on our YouTube as well as our Facebook pages. And last year we did challenges that people with young onset Parkinson's face. So as I said, both of these are available for you to watch. Today we have, as I said, a very fascinating panel. And our panelists today are Dr. Shanti Priya, who was diagnosed at the age of 36 in 2010, and she has, as she calls herself, metamorphosized her life. We've got Rajiv Gupta, who was diagnosed in 2013 at the age of 51. He's an engineer, and again, he went through a journey of not wanting to talk about it, being unsure, and that's how he reached out to Patients Engage. And eventually, he's not only kind of gone public, but he's gone public in a big way by writing about his journey in a book. And Dr. Shanti Priya, sorry, by the way, is an ophthalmologist, and obviously her life was quite significantly affected. We also have Pramesh Ratnakar, who is a strong combines literature and sports. I think his love is probably more sports than literature, but it's tough to tell. And he was diagnosed in 2013 at the age of 54. So quick, here are the books that they've authored. So we've got the first one, which is Destination Unknown, My Journey with Parkinson's, by Rajiv. We've got Centurion, that was written just around the time he was diagnosed, and he'll also, somewhere along the way, he will reference it because his father had Parkinson's as well. And in a sense, that was an inspiration for him. And Shanti has just published a book which is called Metamorphosis, and it's a combination of her artwork as well as her poetry. So it's a coffee table book. Quick disclaimer, the information that is being discussed here is based on the experience of the panelists, and it's not to be taken as medical advice. So for specific medical issues, or if there are recommendations made here, or experiences shared, you can take those and discuss it with your doctor, but don't try and do anything on your own. This session is being recorded, so if you're logged into Zoom, you can post your questions in the Q&A box. If you're on Facebook, you can post your comments, questions on the live feed, and it's an interactive session. So we'll have some of our questions, but you can also send in your questions. And as always, if you have an experience to share, write into us at editor@patientsengage.com. And you can follow us on our various social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. And if you don't want to miss any of our content, download the Android app. Our website is www.patientsengage.com. And I am Aparna Mittal. I'm the founder of Patients Engage and the moderator for the session. So I think that's enough of introduction. So let's get started. So let me start with you, Pramesh, first. Tell us a little bit about, when you were first diagnosed, you obviously you've said that you knew about what the symptoms were, but were you kind of expecting it to hit when it did, and were there any triggers in your view?
Actually, there's a interesting story here. I was looking after my father, who was going through the last stages of Parkinson. I mean, I was a caretaker for about 8 years with him. And in 2011, he had some lung infection, and we admitted him to AIIMS, All India Medical Institute.
Right.
And 2001, I began to feel something is wrong with me. So I actually got the AIIMS guy to do one of those full neurological tests on me. I said, have I inherited it or what? So they did the full, they made you draw lines and ask you to remember dates and all that kind of thing. So half an hour, 45 minutes test. And at the end of it all, they said, no, you don't have it and you're okay. This is just psychological. Don't worry, you haven't got it. But 2 years down the line, I was on Sindhopa. So I mean, officially, it sort of came through in 2013, but I had begun to sense something was going wrong with my body at least a couple of years before that.
Right. Thanks. And Dr. Shanti, what were your early symptoms, and how did you kind of realize, and that even at that age, right? Because it's not something that you think of to get yourself tested for something like Parkinson's at that young age.
Yeah. First, loss of swing movement of my right upper arm was noticed by my husband and son. But we never thought it was Parkinson's, because no one in the family had Parkinson's. And even though I'm a medical doctor, I never knew that Parkinson's was there. There is something called young onset Parkinson's, where people below 50 are also affected. So I just first ignored it, because I'm a very fitness in the person. So I thought something, I sprained my arm or something. So I ignored it. Then I was not able to wear my slippers on the right side. That was when I took a call. Then I went to a first orthopedician, then a neurologist, who gave me the diagnosis of young onset Parkinson's, but I couldn't accept it. I went to another, and 3-4 of them gave me the same diagnosis. Then only got into me. And then after that, it was a trial and error of medicines, what suits you. So life went on like that. So that was my early days,
Right.
but I was working and
Right.
and nobody knew. I was able to mask my symptoms very well.
Right. And Rajiv, for you, again, what were your early symptoms? Rajiv, have you frozen? Okay, I think.
That's an unfortunate word to use in.
Sorry, I know. I realized as soon as I said it that. Sorry, Rajiv, were you back on?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, okay. So if you can talk us about your early symptoms. Yeah.
So I started getting symptoms about 1.5 years before I was really diagnosed by a doctor. Started with my left arm getting slow and becoming a little rigid.
Right.
I work in the IT sector, so I thought maybe it is that RSI, repeated stress injury, what they call that.
Right.
So all the ergonomics and all that I took care of. After that, when it didn't seem to improve, then I thought it's a frozen shoulder. So I went for physiotherapy for 1-2 months. And since it was not bothering me so much, I didn't bother to consult a doctor. Took me 1 year to go to a doctor. Then when I went to an orthopedic, he referred me to a neuro, and neuro told me about Parkinson's.
Right.
All I knew about Parkinson's was Muhammad Ali and shaking hands. So I actually told the doctor, see, I had the injury in my head. and my hand don't shake. So
Right.
my first reaction was that perhaps the doctor is mistaken, you know.
Right.
Aparna, can I just one interesting fact? Rajiv mentioned frozen shoulder. I had
Sorry,
frozen.
Pramesh, we got feedback that if you can kind of come closer to speak or get your,
Okay.
I don't know where your mic is.
Okay, sorry. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Rajiv mentioned frozen shoulder. I also had a frozen shoulder. My father also had frozen shoulder. So I think frozen shoulder is something that is sort of that is common to many Parkinson diagnoses.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's a precursor or anything, you know. Maybe because many of the symptoms are similar, you know, that's why we feel so.
Yeah, so I think we will leave the diagnosis to the doctors, but
Can
yeah,
you
I
hear
think
me
one
or?
of the misconceptions is that it's to do with shaking, and I think the fact that there is stiffness is a common symptom is something that most people are not aware of. So I think that's something to highlight as well.
Each
Sorry,
person,
Rajiv.
each person's Parkinson's is unique to them. You can't say that one symptom what I have will be there in Rajiv or Pramesh. So because I never had tremors at all this 10 years.
Hmm.
So you can't, Parkinson's is like your fingerprint. It's like unique to yourself.
Right, right. Yeah.
So,
Sorry,
so
Rajiv, you were completing your, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, yeah. I think that's it how I got diagnosed, and you know,
Right.
November 2013 I got diagnosed. I think all of us cannot forget the date we got first.
Right. Right. Okay. So tell me a little bit. I know, and I don't want to get into the pros and cons. I think both Shanti and you, Rajiv, went through DBS, that is deep brain simulation treatment. And just a disclaimer on that, you do need to discuss that. It's not applicable in all cases. But in your cases, did you all see benefits, and what were the changes you saw from before in terms of your the treatment? So Shanti, do you want to talk about it first?
Yeah. Before my DBS, I had a lot of painful spasms, which is very common in young onset Parkinson's. And I used to get side effects of the medicines because 10 years down the lane, you start developing, after 5 years itself, you start developing side effects.
Mm.
So both of them, and had a lot of motor fluctuations. My medicines never used to work well.
Right.
Maximum, yeah. So I had a lot of motor fluctuations. That was when I went to the doctor and he suggested DBS. But after DBS, I've never had a single day of dystonia. And my medicines have come down to almost 15 pills a day to 3 pills a day.
Right. And
So,
for lay people, can you just describe in one line what is dystonia?
dystonia is painful spasms of the limbs anywhere in the body. It can be in the neck or in the limbs. It's most common in the limbs.
Right. Right.
That is dystonia.
Right.
And side effects of the medicines will be the opposite. This is stiffness. You'll have more flexible involuntary movements.
Right. Right.
That is dyskinase.
Thanks. Rajiv, for you, how did DBS, before and after?
I had lot of motor fluctuations like Dr. Shanti mentioned, you know. Off times were becoming longer. The medicine effect was reducing. Earlier medicine used to work for 4 hours, then it kept on reducing from 4 to 3 to 2, and my off time
Sorry,
was
Rajiv, can you
kind
ask
of,
that lady behind to not dust at the
yeah,
moment?
thank you.
Thanks.
yeah, I was just about to sneeze.
Sorry. Yeah, while we wait. Pramesh, in the meantime, you want to talk about, what are the troublesome symptoms that you have to deal with?
See, motor functions, there are some classic, I mean, every Parkinson case is unique, that's true. But there are certain classic sort of things which happen to all Parkinson patients: rigidity, bending posture, going before a six,
Right.
and movements and slow jerky movements and so on. Basically, your rhythm, I mean, if you put it in layman terms, the rhythm that your body has, the sort of poetry, the music that your body has, that goes for a six.
Right. Right.
Your
Okay.
body is off balance, it's a load, it's not a free flowing, beautiful entity, and you have to sort of carry it around. You have to lug
Right.
it around. So
Right.
when you are lugging it around, then all kinds of things happen. Sometimes sometimes you develop a strain here, I mean, anything is possible. So you have to tackle all those as and when they come, and you have to be ready for them. You have to know that this is going to happen, and you just try your level best to sort of
Pramesh,
anticipate
can
it.
you hold your mic closer somehow?
You try to anticipate and you try to counter as much as you can, and sort of you just play. That's why it's using the play metaphor.
Right. Right. Okay.
You
We
play the
will
ball
come.
on its merit.
Right. Sorry, Rajiv, we had to interrupt you that time. So if you can talk about your symptoms after, what were the improvements you saw after DBS?
You're asking me again,
Yeah, Rajiv.
Aparna?
Yeah, because I think we missed that, right?
Okay, sorry about that interruption.
No problem.
So, yeah. So my off time was reducing. I was unable to drive. I was getting only half an hour window to drive after taking my medicine. And I was getting what we call dyskinesia. Dr. Shanti was medicine.
Sorry.
Previous, yeah, tell me, Aparna, you wanted to ask something?
No, your audio is a bit garbled. Yeah. Seems to not be so clear. Okay, let us yeah. You want to take a minute to sort it out, or you?
No, I think it is the internet connection that
Oh,
fixed
okay.
the problem. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, now it's much better. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So after DBA, this is smoothened out. Like, we do not, off times are severity of the off time is very less. I'm able to drive the whole time, and dyskinesis and medicine is reduced, so dyskinesia is also reduced.
Right.
So I'm very happy that I went for DBS.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So coming to the fact that you all three were working when you all were diagnosed, right? So how did that affect your work life? Dr. Shanti, you said that you managed to mask it for a while, but obviously it was stressful. And so talk about both the challenges of working with it and not talking about it, as well as that's primarily what. So if you can talk about it first, Shanti.
So first, when I was diagnosed, I was working as a general ophthalmologist at a private hospital, and I was able to mask the symptoms very well. Nobody knew I had this thing. That is what all of us are really. We learn the tricks to mask it. So I was able to manage till 2009, almost till 2018. I was working, but once I started my foundation and I went into art, and that was when the hospital also closed down. That's why I stopped working.
Right.
Otherwise, maybe I would have still continued working if it was. And then my surgery, then the challenges will be masking itself is a little stressful on yourself. But towards the end, when I accepted and told the whole world during the making of the video of the pageant, then I was very relieved. And everybody came to know. And nobody sympathized with me. That's what we don't want.
Right.
because we have a lot of invisible symptoms in Parkinson's.
Hmm.
And many people have asked me, you don't even look like a person like Parkinson's. I don't know what they mean like that.
Right.
So that, so I took it as a easy go, and I was able to mask well, and I lived my life to the fullest. I feel everyone should do that with any adversity. I feel we have
Right.
only one life, we need to live it to the fullest.
Correct.
Do
Correct.
what you want.
Correct. Correct. Exactly. Pramesh, did it affect your, you're a teacher, did it affect your, especially because Parkinson's has this on and off time. So is it difficult to teach during the off times, and how did you manage all of that?
No, I'm still teaching. I'm still carrying on teaching, but it was for the first few years it's pretty okay because your tablets work well and your I mean although your foot is dragging, there might be a tremor, but it doesn't really make much of a difference as you go along.
Ramesh, the mic again, please.
Only after the period of time, what they call the honeymoon period, once that is gets over, then things start getting a little more difficult because you're not very sure how will you fare in the class and all that kind of thing. But before the lockout, I was managing. I mean, I was timing my tablets carefully and so on and so forth, and working. So I was able to take my classes and carry on interacting with the students.
Right.
And one thing about Parkinson is, I think Hattie was trying to say, live life to the fullest. You have to go out there and do things, and you get some energy back from the effort itself. So, I mean, if I walk into a classroom and there are students and there's enthusiasm and there's all that kind of thing happening, my Parkinson is also pushed back a little.
Right.
So you don't sort of step back. You move forward and you attack life as you go along.
Thank you. Thank you. Rajiv, you definitely struggled with the concept of, the whether to disclose or not, and how did it affect? You talked about it, I think, in that first post you wrote for us about disclosure and social engagements, and also you were working as an engineer then. Tell us how it affected both the trying to not disclose as well as what happened with disclosure.
So as Pramesh rightly said, first 5-6 years, you can manage very well in your workplace with the medicines. Most of the Parkinson's cases, I think you can manage quite well with the medicines.
Mm.
But I don't think you can totally mask the symptoms. Like in my case, also even in the off time, my hand will start hanging on the sides of. So people know that something is not right with this guy. They may not, immediately conclude what it is. They may not know what it is. Especially this shaking and all, people still relate to Parkinson's, but rigidity and bradykinesia, the slowness of the movement,
Right.
they do not. So
Right.
one good thing is that somehow in the kind of circles we move, people do not, as Shanti rightly said, they do not sympathize and they do not kind of probe too much. So you have to keep on going.
Right.
But in retrospect, I do feel that after sharing, I felt much more relieved actually. It was a kind of some odd remark. Hey, what's wrong with your hand? No, yeah. You have to give some excuse to the other, but you know that you are hiding something, right?
Correct.
So that itself is stressful.
Right.
So in retrospect, I would say that I mean, everyone has got his own comfort. I will not say that they only have to disclose, but as soon as you feel comfortable about it, I think you should disclose and be done with it. That is my experience. Yeah.
Right. I think there's one panelist, audience question, what is DBS? DBS is deep brain stimulation. It's a neurosurgical procedure, it's almost like putting a brain pacemaker. But you can discuss that with your neurologist. But yeah, it's a placement of a medical device, the neurostimulator. So, okay. And Ramesh, coming to you, you have used, you are a big proponent of sports, you're a big proponent of movement. Um, Tell us how you use all of those things to kind of manage your day and your overall well-being.
See, when it happened, I mean, this is part of the reason why I talk about it so much and I make videos and all that, but I do think you should never be, I mean, obviously it's a natural reaction. You feel like hiding, but it's not your fault that you have Parkinson. So it's not as if it's something that you should be ashamed of or something. I mean, you should be able to go out and talk about it and do things with your friends and others without having to have extra stress or trying to hide and all that. So I make a big effort to talk about Parkinson in a normal manner, in normal way. Talking
Right.
about sports, what I tried consciously. See, the doctors give you levodopa to work with. So what I tried to do was maximize my returns on levodopa whenever I took levodopa.
Right.
So I would just do extra rather than less of exercising when I had the energy. And I think that helped me to sort of keep the body going, keep the fitness going, keep the enthusiasm going. I mean, after getting Parkinson, I climbed 12,000 feet. I went mountaineering. I went. I mean, I did everything which I wanted to do, like Shanti was saying, and more so.
Hmm.
So I would pop the pill and I would go for it.
Right.
And once you start doing that, then good things happen. And when you in sports, especially if you beat the guys who don't have Parkinson, then you enjoy it more.
Yes, it gives you a great kick, right? When you beat people who don't have Parkinson's at a sport.
Yeah. So and you have the sort of extra energy to play around with. But all said and done, the nobody is making it into a sort of a very pleasant thing. And as Shanti pointed out, the side effects of the levodopa medication are very powerful and very inevitable. So I
Right.
have tried to counter it. They have Shanti and gone on previous. I have tried to counter it by going to yoga and Ayurveda and everything. So I use Ayurveda and yoga to counter the side effects. See, right now I am on, which is pretty good at my stage of life to be on, let's say, 3 Syndopa pluses,
Right.
3 to 4.
Right.
But I need much more than that. So I use Ayurvedic powder and Ayurvedic medicines and all that, which keeps me going.
Okay. Shanti, in your case, you talked about your foundation as a kind of, it gave you as an objective in life, right? In addition, as a way to kind of deal with Parkinson's, you talk about your art and your poetry. Tell us a little bit to our audience as to how all of that kind of comes in together to motivate you or as a way for you to give back. How do you see that whole exercise or process?
Early 2019, actually April 7th, I started my foundation. As all of you know that April is Parkinson's month, and April 11th, tomorrow is World Parkinson's Day.
Right.
So I started as a small group only. So it was like a first support group. Because when I started, there was no support group. I didn't have anybody to share my symptoms with. So for young onset Parkinson's, there's no. So in my group, there are more young onset Parkinson's people.
Right. Right.
So I share my journey and my story to inspire them, others. And we do a lot of work, awareness campaigns on Parkinson's to remove the social stigma of Parkinson's.
Right.
I conduct a lot of workshops, like on being active, a holistic approach to living well with Parkinson's, like yoga, Tai Chi, all that we do.
Right.
And actually 2 years back, around the same time, only I was into art also. So at school, I never had it. I'm a self-taught artist. At school, I used to paint for my school culturals and all.
Right.
But 2 years back, suddenly I attended a painting exhibition of my friend's daughter.
Mm.
That was really when I got inspired again to start. And now I've done more than 150 paintings in about 2 years.
Right. Right.
And during the COVID, only I started writing.
Mm.
So it's been a year only since of writing. And I put all my thoughts together. My book is also on my reflections on life,
Right.
how to deal with all that. And I feel this Parkinson's has made me a better person,
Mm.
has made me all this other than a ophthalmologist, a mother, a wife.
Right.
So that's what Parkinson's has made me. And now I act also.
Wow.
I used to do modeling, but now because of the COVID, I've modeled for a few sari, this thing.
What are you acting, Shanti? What are you acting?
I did a guest role in a web series yet to be released.
Which one? What's the name?
It's called Flatmates. Once it's released, I'll send the link.
How about the dialogue right now?
Not much of a dialogue. I come as an artist only.
Okay. We look forward to see you.
Yeah, sure.
Wonderful story. Keep going. This is wonderful. This is the way to do it.
Yeah. I feel you should not stop. Do
Exactly.
whatever you can.
Exactly.
And as Pramesh said, you have to be active, more dopamine. And even I'm a follower of fitness. You have to exercise every day and have to keep yourself active both mentally and physically.
Right. Right.
That only keeps you going.
Thanks, Shanti. Rajiv, what made you decide to write the book, and what are your other kind of ways of powering yourself every day? Two different questions.
I mean, before the questions, I'll just respond to what Dr. Shanti Priya is telling, that Parkinson's has made me a better person. Actually, I don't subscribe to that. That Parkinson's, like Michael J. Fox said in his book, that I'm lucky that I got Parkinson's. To me, it sucks. No doubt about it. It sucks.
Right.
But yes. Now that you got it, we can't do much about it. So try to make the best of it. What are that? That is
Right.
the philosophy I go with. So, on the book, when I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, I wanted to find out more about, how the people who have already gone through or treaded this path, how have they coped?
Mm.
And being an avid reader, I wanted to read everything I can lay my hands on.
Right.
But to my surprise, I could not find any book from an Indian patient,
Mm.
all from Western. So I think the socio-economic context makes a difference,
Correct.
The way
Correct.
you respond to a situation, the way you respond to an illness.
Absolutely.
And even the name, the setting is familiar, means you relate more to that. So I kept on looking for some book by an Indian author. And after when I was recovering from my DBS surgery, I had some time on my hand, and I was hoping that sooner or later someone will write. And I thought that, why not me? And why keep on waiting for someone else? I mean, that someone can as well be me.
Correct.
And I sent that, post, what I posted, Patients Engaged, to my doctor.
Right.
And he liked it. He said, yeah, there's a book in you. Why don't you write? So he encouraged me quite a lot to, write. So I said to her, and obviously I am not a writer, right? So my thoughts are going like this, Aparna. I'm not a writer. I cannot do a good job of writing. All I can do is, be very honest, very open about it, do my, research and give authentic information in a very, very simple language to new Parkinson's patient, and tell my story that may help some other, patients and their families to relate to that.
Correct. Correct.
And tell you that I'm getting many feedback that patients are coming and telling me that they feel that it as if it's their own story, and it gave them the new grit to fight, etc., etc. So that's about the book. And other thing that I'm doing is, yeah, it's true, as Shanti was also saying, I ended up doing many things which I might not have done if I was not having Parkinson's. Like, for example, I am not a sports person like Ramesh. I don't think I would have ever gone to gym.
Mm.
Now I do weight training, I go to the gym and all. I mean, without Parkinson's, I don't think I would have done that.
Right.
Right? I also learned to value my relationship with my wife and immediate family. Then you realize that in a crisis like this, I mean, your immediate family is the one that always stands by you, supports you.
Right.
And you wonder, have you done enough to nurture that relationship?
Mm.
Obviously, when we are all busy with our careers, we don't nurture that relationship and all.
Correct. Absolutely.
So that is also a new learning for me.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Rajiv.
It's all about relationship with yourself, relationship with others, and Parkinson makes you rethink everything. So it makes you rework and redo everything in a different manner.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think again, just if anybody's joined late, we are talking with three persons who've had Parkinson's for the last few years. We've got with us Shanti Priya, who's a doctor and artist. We've got Pramesh, who's combines his love for literature and sports, and we've got Rajiv in the engineering mind, right? And we, to your point, Rajiv, the whole idea of Patients Engage was to create a platform where people can tell their stories and in a local context, right? So that was the thing, because we found again that there were not enough stories of people from India telling their experiences with various conditions. I completely resonate with that. And I think it is very powerful, not just, and I find that it's helpful not only to people who are reading it and realizing I'm not alone, but it's also helpful to the person sharing. I think in some ways it is extremely liberating, and I think all three of you all are great examples of that as well. Coming to, I think one of the things that people talk about or don't talk about enough is the area of mental health and Parkinson's, right? So there is, of course, the physiological issue of the fact that ultimately Parkinson's is about not enough dopamine, and dopamine is directly linked to your to lack of dopamine is kind of equates to depression. But there is also the whole aspect of actually dealing with anxiety, depression, stress, etc. So how did you all go through that period and coming to accept it, and maybe you're still struggling, some days are good days and some days are bad days, and as Rajiv said, it's not all good about it, so it's so yeah, let's Pramesh, you want to go first on that?
See, I think Rajiv was talking last time, there should be some sort of protocol of how you tell Parkinson patients they have Parkinson. I mean, the doctors have to be sensitive and they have to sort of prepare the ground and not just sort of deliver a verdict which is like an axe on your head and all that. In my case, I was kind of prepared because I had seen the Parkinson sort of through my father. So I had a look in, but before it actually is bad. But most people go through a very hard time when they're diagnosed and they have nobody to turn to and they don't know what to do and how to do it. So first, the initial diagnosis and how it is communicated should be thought about very carefully by medical profession, and it should be taken care of properly. The depression, one of the challenges, I think Rajiv and Shanti will talk about it better than you, because I just don't like the word depression. I don't know what to do with that word because it's just sort of so
So loaded.
yeah, so loaded. That is totally loaded. So what I'm trying to say, I mean, one of the things I don't know how Rajiv and Shanti are dealing with, but when you're practicing, you have sort of vivid dreams, they have this vivid dreams and almost hallucinations and all that kind of a thing as part of the side effects. So that is another challenge that is part of the Parkinson dream mix-up. But I think the question is better, depression question, Shanti and Rajiv would be able to do this better.
But I have one question for you, Pramesh. While you said that there are people who don't know what it is about, but you have actually seen, in a sense, the worst of Parkinson's, right? Because it's a progressive condition, or it should not be called progressive, probably regressive condition. But so in a sense, you know how bad it gets. So does that cause? Did that kind of worry you?
It was the single most important fear factor in the beginning. And then over a period of time, in fact, after I went to the Ayurvedic center in Puttur and I did 1.5 months of treatment there. And in fact, I made a video out of it all. And at the end of the video, I thanked the doctor there, the Ayurvedic doctor, in the credits, saying that what you have taken away from Parkinson continue or whatever, but you have taken away the fear of Parkinson from you.
Right.
Because I know now that you can manage it. You can manage it without even surgery. You can manage it with Ayurveda and yoga and exercising.
Right.
You can take it to the conclusion. I mean, we're all going to die, and but it's not as if you have to end up in a sort of a very sort of helpless situation.
Right. Right. Okay. Thanks. Shanti, coming back to the main question, which is, how did you handle the emotional aspect of it, or how do you handle the emotional aspect?
As you said, we have good days and bad days. So we have to. The trick will be to enjoy the ups and have the courage to face the downs. And I do have, initially there was a question, why me? But now that has changed to why not me?
Right.
So once I told everybody that I have this, I don't call it as a disease, it's a disorder. Have this disorder, I felt relieved. And through my story, I'm able to reach out to many people, and this advocacy, now I've taken it to a global level.
Right.
So that gives a lot of happiness to me. So that's a way of that I'm getting my dopamine.
Right.
And even the painting is like a meditation for me.
Right.
I could spend hours together doing my painting or writing. So that's a kind of meditation. That's how I deal with all my ups and downs. Life is always ups and downs. It's never perfect for anyone.
Otherwise, you'd have only be doing the ophthalmology.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't have discovered my creative part of me.
Right.
So that's how I deal with this thing. And I have a very strong family and friend support.
Right. Right.
Because I feel everybody has to have that is very important. Not even a single day my friends have let me down, or my family.
Right.
So that is a very strong support for me. And they encourage me in whatever I do.
Okay.
So that is
right.
how
they're just spoiling you, Shanti. God bless them. God bless them.
Yeah, I think as much support as we can all get from each other, it's always good.
That's the ultimate mantra.
Yeah. And my foundation people also, we give each other the needed support.
Right, right.
So that's what I feel gives me happiness, helping each other and making a difference in the life of a person with Parkinson's.
Thank you. There, excellent. Rajiv, for you, how do you deal with the emotional aspect earlier, now? and what keeps you going?
So after the diagnosis, it hits you very hard. Take the especially people like me who have got a habit of Googling about it.
Googling about it, right?
Yeah. You start imagining that you're getting into the worst case scenario. Yeah. So you Google about it and you read the worst case scenarios and you start imagining that you're getting into those worst case scenarios.
Right.
So it took me 3 months to come out of that negativity. In the beginning, I even had suicidal thoughts at that time. It was bad.
Mm.
But then with the support of the family and your own efforts and non-realization, getting a good doctor, all that helps you to come out of it. And you start accepting, you start, as a Shanti was very aptly saying, stop asking why me, and you start, seeing that why not me? If anyone gets it, it can as well be me. I'm not special.
Right.
And my doctor at that time itself advised me to start meditation. So that also helps me.
Right.
Even now, though we have learned to live in the present day to day, like something just after getting up in the morning, I feel a lot of anxiety about the future. Will I be able to, live with dignity till the end? Or, will my family, so many unnecessary questions do come to mind. I'll tell you a small story. So, once I told my wife that in the morning I'm getting this kind of, anxiety bout.
Mm.
So her reaction was, why should you, and that is not the right thing to do. You should always be positive. It's easier said than done, right? To be always positive.
Right.
Then I read a story, Mitchell something.
Sorry,
And
you read
from
a story, Rajiv?
there I learned that Tuesdays with Morris.
I think we are losing you a little bit. Your internet's again problematic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The name
It
of the
keeps
book was
breaking.
Tuesdays with Morris.
Tuesdays with Morris. Yeah, Tuesdays with Morris. Yeah. Okay.
So
Right.
from there I learned that it's okay to pity your nothing wrong in it. As long as you don't stick to it and don't, and don't feel guilty about, feeling low, actually.
Right. Right.
That adds to your anxiety, sir. So I do feel low sometimes, but I do not allow myself more than 5 minutes of that feeling. After that,
Right.
I tell myself, okay, rest for the night. It works for me. That's how I manage it.
Right. Great. Right. Yeah. No, I think some key message that it's okay to feel low occasionally, but it's important to not kind of wallow in it, but accept that feeling and try and move on. I think that's.
I might add a slightly spiritual touch to the whole thing. At least I use it for myself, and it kind of helps to take care of the low moments and the. I often think that Parkinson has allowed me to, because my body doesn't function well. It allows me to see the larger design outside in a better way.
Right.
Because it just happens automatically. When I am walking on the road now, I cannot but look at everybody's walk. I I just have to see where the arms are going, where the shoulders are, and all that kind of thing. And it moves to other spaces as well. So if our derailment allows us to be more perceptive about the harmony and the rhythm that is out there, then sometimes you can vibe with it in a wonderful manner inside your own self, inside your own head, and inside your own psyche. And that creates a different sort of music and a different kind of excitement.
Right. Thanks. Thanks. Perfectly put. I think we can't but touch on COVID. COVID has been challenging, and one would have thought by now we would be past it, but it's continuing. And we do hear of a lot of people struggling with patients with Parkinson's, struggling with how it has impacted their day-to-day life, their therapies. There's a feeling of kind of anxiety. Will this ever get better? And it's putting a lot of stress on families, right? So any advice or any tips that each of you would like to? I know you have, for instance, Shanti, used that time to come up with a book and so on. So if you can each kind of to other persons with Parkinson's who are struggling through this period and their families, any advice that each of you would like to give? Start with you, Shanti.
Do what you like, follow your heart, follow your passion. So I started writing only during the COVID, and I used to paint every day, single day during the COVID. So that was a kind of coming out of, it really affects us actually because of it's more stress and anxiety will increase the symptoms of Parkinson's.
Correct.
So we need to keep our mood swings at the same level by doing meditation. Like a lot of online exercises are available now. So you need move more, you get more dopamine. Listen to music, dance in a room. All this will help you come out of the and chat with your friends. I feel that is the most important therapy. The socializing by chatting on with your friends.
Right.
That is the vitamin F therapy. I feel when you talk to your friend who's really the same, you don't need anything else.
Right. Right. I like the vitamin F.
Count me as your friend, Shanti.
And what we tried to do with one of my friends, and it worked very well, is you keep 2 bottles of beer on your side, I'll keep 2 bottles of beer on my side, and we will talk on the phone and we'll record the conversation.
I know.
Right. Great.
So the idea is, even COVID or otherwise, the idea is you can't let your own creativity and your own will to improvise and do things, not because, but because it's absolutely necessary in your Parkinson condition. I mean, if you let go of that, then you are finished. So you have no choice. You just have to go there and find ways and means to as Shanti was saying, find exciting things to do and go out there and do it.
Right. Great.
And one more thing I want to add, I have my pet. He was a big company for me. I feel pet therapy is another vitamin.
Yes. Vitamin P. Rajiv, how have you used COVID, or how have you kind of, what's your recommendation to or suggestion to people?
So my suggestion is find alternatives. There are always, whatever activities you're missing, there are always some way of doing it or some other alternative that you can find out always, right? For example, I used to go play bridge in the club every day, right?
Right.
But after COVID, after first 2-3 months of kind of
you're playing bridge, right? You're playing bridge.
Yeah, I do.
There you go. Rajiv's time goes in bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you fight with your partner when they make the wrong bit and all that?
So I was very lucky to find a guru, who was my partner.
Okay.
So he only used to scold me, and I got to fight with him. Okay.
Right. Sorry, continue, Rajiv.
And so some of them were not ready to play online, so I started playing against a robot. So I still every day I play around half an hour of 45 minutes
Wonderful.
breed against a robot on the computer.
Excellent.
So not as good, but still keeps me engaged, right?
Yeah.
So also,
Yeah.
Patient, engaged.
so actually, we got a trainer to we used to go to gym and do exercises. Nowadays, he does it online, right? So you can always find an alternative. But one thing that took some time for us to realize is that there are alternative means of socializing also.
Right. Right.
First 2 3 months of COVID, the socializing was totally stopped, and as Shanti Ramesh were telling, it is very important for participants people to keep socializing. Then we learned, we have Zoom meetings, we have, beer sessions on Zoom, as Ramesh was telling, and uh, and it works out. So idea is to find alternatives which works even in COVID times.
Correct.
You can always
Correct.
find some alternative or the other.
Excellent. Okay, so I think there's a lot of comments, and I'll send it to all of you. Thank you, Anand, Anubha, etc., for all your continuous comments on the Zoom chat, and there are a few on the Facebook stream as well from Lata, Anita, Madhu. I think one final question, I think, which comes up, and I think somebody talked about in the chat as well, is any advice to, or any suggestions to, I hate advice, but any suggestions to caregivers of, and friends of persons with Parkinson's? Because sometimes they don't necessarily hear the perspective of the person with Parkinson's, right? They're so kind of caught up in trying to be the carer. So any tips for them or any suggestions to the caregivers? I'll
Right.
start with you again, Shanti.
I always tell my caregivers to allow the person with Parkinson's to do everything on their own. They have to be independent, because many of the caregivers, they don't even allow them to do anything.
Right.
I feel that is wrong. They have to allow them to do everything on their own. That will help them. And because I'm a caregiver and a person with Parkinson's, I have so many members. So I am a caregiver to them. I give a lot of counseling. But one thing I will say that don't sympathize with a person with Parkinson's. Let them be independent. That's what we need.
Right.
And let us lead our normal life. We don't need any, any special attention or anything. We can do everything on our own. Whatever we can, we will do. I feel that. And even the caregivers should not get stressed. So they should have programs. We have a lot of programs for caregivers too. They should take out time on them. They should do yoga, meditation to keep themselves healthy physically and mentally.
Right.
That would be my take on.
Thanks, Pramesh. And also because the question is also about how would you want the caregivers to respond. So you've said kind of, let them do, but is there I would also say that, okay, then it's also important for the persons with Parkinson's to define where they need help and where they need something, right? So, so that needs to be a dialogue. Pramesh?
The one thing that you need from the caregivers, and I insist on it, I keep telling the people who are around me, I want you smiling. I don't want your stress on my head. So, you have to have people who are happy around you, because Parkinson people will suck stress and tension from everywhere in a major sense. And I was a caretaker, I was a caregiver for 8 years, and now I'm sort of in the Parkinson mode. The idea of independence is very important. Obviously, you have to, even the Parkinson person knows that he can't do everything. but he has to have you have to help him with the illusion that he can do everything. Because that's where he or she will derive the creativity and the strength to fight the disease. If you start making him or her feel that it's not possible for you, it's not possible for you, it's not possible for you, then the whole thing is the cause is lost. So when I look back now, when I was looking after my father, I feel very guilty about the fact that I stopped him from driving altogether when he kept saying that I can't drive, I can't drive, I can't drive. Let me drive just a little bit.
Right.
He wanted to drive and I stopped him.
Right. Rajiv?
Yeah, I think they already covered the independence part. It's very important for our self-esteem to feel independent. That our self-confidence also is pushed. So please don't rush to help unless it is asked. Number two, I would say,
So you
ignore
said
our symptoms.
don't rush to help, right?
That's right.
That's very well phrased.
Right.
Okay. Secondly, ignore our symptoms. Sometimes our walk is not normal. Don't keep on commenting on it. Just ignore it. So the third thing is, please know that don't go by our facial expression.
Right.
They do not. Facial expressions of a Parkinson's person may sometimes not mean anything at all. It is not totally in his control, right? For example, if you tell me something good and you feel that I'm not responding or I'm not happy about it, that's not right. I may be happy, but my face is not reflecting that. So please note that.
Right.
And fourth thing is that more than the caregivers, these are guys to some of the friends and all that. That please do not take us as dull-witted. In very advanced stages, Parkinson's affects the cognitive abilities in some cases.
Right.
In spite of our weird movements, in spite of our awkward, walk, and in spite of our blank faces, we are as sharp as we ever were. So please don't take us as dull-witted. And if you do that, it will be at your own peril, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think, well put.
Very well put. It needs an engineer to put it down like 1, 2, 3, 4, and just write it straight to the point. A very important point to make also is as caregivers and as patients are what we are working against is Parkinson, and often we come on loggerheads with each other. Sometimes we need to keep that perspective very carefully in our mind that our enemy is Parkinson, and we should give each other lots of room, lots of sort of gentle forgiveness, and work accordingly.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think, very useful points. I also think that the whole caregiver, because we work with both patients and caregivers, that is always a tricky area, and how to navigate the boundaries of allowing risk taking versus ensuring there is no harm. And the harm could be to the patient, but obviously often caregivers think that this is, it will make things more difficult for them as well, right? And to your point on Pramesh on driving, it's a tricky one, right? Because it's not just, and unfortunately, I don't know if in India we do, and this I know even from friends in the, kind of a friend of mine whose mother used to drive for a long time, but she lived in a small village in Minneapolis, so there was not much traffic, so she could continue to do, and then the local police would stop her and all of that. But it doesn't happen like that in crowded cities in India, so it's dangerous. And I know we I mean, I think this is a conversation that keeps coming up in many households. So I think it is, it's always a challenge. And I think the more we can figure out ways to have these conversations between, the primary caregiver and the person with the condition, it's hopefully the only way forward. But thank you all. I do want to allow each of you to kind of show your book so that people who are reading, or watching, kind of know what the book looks like. So if you can just kind of, lift your books so that's Metamorphosis, which is a coffee table book by Shanti Priya. And when is it out? Is it already out, Shanti? Or when is it the release?
It's already released, but it'll be released shortly on Amazon.
Okay, so it's not yet out on Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay. And Rajiv, your book? So that is already on Amazon. It's Destination Unknown, My Journey
It's
with
already there.
Yes.
It's a very short book of around 100 pages that includes around 30 pages of it. It is about Parkinson's.
Right. Right.
It's available internationally also, and Kindle version is also there, paperback version.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rajiv. And if anybody wants, we do have a review by a caregiver of a Parkinson's person of that book. And Anubha, if you want to find out about our work, check out patientsengage.com or reach out to me. Pramesh, you have your book with you, Centurion?
No, my book is, I could have you've already shown the copy, and it's not really about Parkinson, it's about all kinds of other things. So,
Right. Okay.
But I mean, people should pick it up and look at it and read it.
Right. Yeah.
It's about solving all the problems of the world.
Okay. So fantastic again to all the audience who's been here. Thank you to all three of you. It is, each of you has brought so much to the table, not just today, but even otherwise. And I think for anybody watching, there's a lot of takeaways, but I'll just pick, 3 or 4 that kind of stick with me. Number one, I think for doctors out there who ever come across this, we know that there needs to be some, and maybe Shanti, you can take it to your doctor community that, maybe there needs to be a way of how they share the diagnosis with patients. And this is not just for Parkinson's. We see this time and again for so many conditions. The key takeaway for family members is do let them try and be independent, but obviously this needs to be a discussion, but give them room. As Rajiv said, we don't want, don't treat us like idiots, or we still have our wits around. Sometimes there's a term that's coming around, benign neglect. So ignore our symptoms, don't react to every escalation of symptom, because that happens. Don't rush to help, as he said. And as Shanti said, we don't want sympathy. So I think there's a lot there for anybody who's watching this to take away. And I think, to me also, Pramesh's point, to take away the fear of the condition, because you know that it's progressive, but how do you kind of live in the moment and not keep worrying about how it will progress? So I think that's very important. And as you said, movement, creativity, etc., is all important. So any final, kind of 3 words from each of you?
Shake off and move on.
Right.
And people like Aparna are very much needed.
Thank you, Pramesh.
To keep the dialogues going, to keep the interaction going, and thank you very much.
Yeah.
For giving us the opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
I second that. True.
Thank you.
Enjoy life. Enjoy this beautiful life, one day at a time.
Great. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to all the audience. You've been phenomenal as well. And the recording of this will be out in a couple of days on YouTube, so I'll send you all a link to that as well.
Thank you very much for joining us, all of you.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you all.
Thank
Have
you
a good
so much.
weekend. Yes,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you, Aparna.
Thanks.
And
Yes,
thank